I enter and it's got these dark burgundy red walls. I look up and there's nothing.
Hi, I'm Darren.
And I'm Lisa. And if you're not familiar with our channel, take a look at this video to learn more. Let's get started.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to begin with Monday, April 6, 2026. I woke up at 5:04 a.m. and I got to say my Bible verse, it felt like a direct answer to my prayer. I prayed for a friend from my church. He was upset because he was a contractor working for an unfair boss. He quit for moral reasons, but got cheated out of about $20,000. So the verse was James 5:4. And this passage talks about the injustice of the employers. And it looks like Jesus already had this prayer taken care of.
Don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Then on Tuesday, what blows my mind is how these verses can answer your prayers and why we encourage you to try this for yourself. The night before, I did an online interview with a podcaster, William Pope, to explain how these wake-up times and related Bible verses work. Now, for some reason, I still needed affirmation because I wasn't sure it was okay that I was doing this. And then one of my wake-up times, it was Luke 12:8, which was telling me anyone who publicly acknowledged me before others, they'll acknowledge before the angels of God. Pretty cool.
I love when that happens.
So that's pretty much where I'm going to start. I'm going to turn this over to Lisa now.
Okay, April 7th. This was the day after Jesus' resurrection, or Easter Sunday. I woke up at 4:55, but I didn't find a verse in the Protestant Bible with 55 verses. But what I did first is I did my Hebrew Gematria that I love to do. And it's pretty cool because 4:55 means on the seventh day. And it also means Betul. I don't know if I'm saying that right, which is selflessness or dissolving one's ego. And I didn't know what that meant, but you'll see why later it does. So the flip verse was Isaiah 55:4, and this perfectly aligned with the post-Easter victory. This is like saying, David, I feel my purpose to testify to those around me. I wasn't going to share this verse because it didn't make sense that morning, but later, as you know, it totally did. And this ended up being one of my best days ever. Okay, so I headed out that day to go see a client and run errands, but while I'm driving, I hear this voice say, go to Chick-fil-A now. And I'm not a fast food girl. I couldn't even tell you the last time I'd been to Chick-fil-A. We don't do fast food. So of course I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. You know, thinking it's my subconscious going, you need a chicken sandwich. So I keep driving, but y'all, then I hear it again, really loud, like booming, go to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, okay, fine, I surrender, I'll pull in. So, you know, when you pull into the Chick-fil-A, they usually have a split lane. So you have to decide which one you're going to go in. And I looked left and there's this kid with this floppy hat on, giant grin. And I was like, okay, I'm choosing the lane of joy. And I pull in and I proceed to tell him when I pull down my window that he's got the best smile ever. And he laughs and he said, that's good because I haven't been sleeping. Opportunity. Yep. And he keeps sharing why he's not waking up and he doesn't know why. He's really confused. So this is the middle of breakfast rush. Nobody pulls behind me. It's like God paused time so I could introduce myself. He could introduce himself and I could start sharing our journaling and waking up in the middle of the night and how it helps you, honestly. I just had a sense of God that he was saying, you know, share this. It's changed your life. It's going to help him. And he was super interested to try it. So I go to pay, he handed my card and he nods and says, no, I got you. And he said, I just made his morning, which just made my morning. So I pull around to go get my food. And as I'm leaving, I clearly get another message in my head saying, go to Target, get a journal and bring it back to him. Okay, so I have a client meeting and I have errands and I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm driving. So I literally called Chick-fil-A, asked the manager when his shift is until 2 p.m. I've got time. So I do go get the journal, but then I'm going to go to this plant nursery after my clients, right? That's kind of near everything so I can get back to this kid at Chick-fil-A. But I have another voice in my head telling me to go to Plants for All Seasons, which is a clear 25 minutes out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I'm like, I am going to surrender. I'm going to obey. This has got to be God. Something's coming out of this, right? So I get there, and right when I get there, it's completely aware to me right when I walk in the gates. I see this older gentleman. He's pushing a cart, has all these flowers, and has one of those military vet hats on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, how am I going to talk to him? How am I going to talk to him? I walk over, and because you're a Navy vet, the first thing that came to mind is, it just said retired veteran. So what branch were you in? He tells me, then also tells me he was a cop for 20 years and retired, and then worked as security for Weingarten, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But then his wife started getting dementia. And
sad.
so he had to retire, and he was there buying her flowers because she couldn't go along, and said how happy it made her. And I was just like, my heart. So I got his name. It was Bill, and his wife, Gloria. And after we were chatting, I was going to say, I'll keep you in my prayers. But what came out of my mouth was, can I pray for y'all? So y'all, he takes off his hat, puts it to his heart, and hands me his hand. And I held his hand, and right in the middle, between all the ferns and flowers, I prayed for him and his wife. Now, this isn't a spotlight moment. This is a moment of obedience and love and God's presence. And y'all, I gave him the biggest hug, and he said, you're not going to remember me. And as I walked off, I said, yes, I will, Bill. And tell Gloria I said hi. And obviously, to this day, I still remember them, and they're in my prayers. So this entire day, y'all, God was using me to pray and encourage, to witness. He guided every step, every word, every interruption of my day. And all I had to do was say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And why am I sharing this with you? Those random nudges you get, pay attention to them. Those internal voices you hear in your head, listen to them. Your errand day might actually end up being your ministry day, witnessing to others. And y'all, it's amazing. It gives you so much joy. I didn't have to have the perfect words. I just had to be willing to let God guide me, and waking up to praise him and then getting to witness all day long. Best day ever.
The best day ever.
I love that story. And if you've ever had moments like this, we'd love to hear it. These are stories that build our faith and remind us that we're not just living, we're also being led. And this is what life is all about. Now, for me, what's ironic is that it's not every day you're going to feel great. We live in a world that's bombarded by doom and gloom. Mm-hmm. And for some reason that day I was not on fire, but Lisa obviously was. In fact, I didn't even know what was going on with me that day. Now, these Bible verses you get from wake up times, they can really help you get back on track. The first one I had was 11:7, which is Psalm. And it was basically telling me God is just. He's not going to let you down. And another wake up time that I had, it was Ephesians. And it was saying, you might be feeling down, but just know that you're saved.
Okay, April 8th, after I had my best day ever. Of course, I have a weird dream, right? So my dream, my husband calls me to his office, but it's not this office at all. I enter, and it's got these dark burgundy red walls. And y'all, I look up, and there's these bookcases that floor to ceiling, although there is no ceiling. Like, I look up and there's nothing. There's these charcoal curtains over the windows, but I had a sense that there weren't any windows. And then I look to the right, and my husband's sitting at this dark desk, and he proceeds to tell me that he doesn't love me, he never has, and he's got a baby on the way. And then through the door to my left, this pregnant Polynesian woman walks in, and the door remains open, and she's got this lime green dress on, and she just stares at me, stands between us. You say nothing, I do nothing, and then I wake up.
That's strange. Yeah, and I remember when I woke up that day, I was writing my Bible verses, and she was upset. I mean, She was,
I wasn't angry or jealous. I felt weird.
yeah, and what was nice is I had a wake up verse that was kind of encouraging, and my wake up verse was from waking up at 5:29, and that was Ephesians 5:29, talking about husbands should nourish and cherish their wives. I mean, guys, I really don't know what else to say other than to try this. It doesn't just work for us. This can work for you too, you know.
Okay, so after feeling strange, once I started Googling this from a biblical lens, my dream, it completely mirrored the concept of birth pains and end times. Matthew 24:8 says the changing scenery will represent the spiritual atmosphere of the world, and the sudden betrayal symbolizes a great falling away and exposed hidden works of darkness.
Okay.
Okay, so the unfamiliar windowless room with the burgundy red walls and charcoal velvet curtains that I saw, this represents dark, heavily structured global world system cut off from the light of heaven and completely blind to divine revelation. The tones, the burgundies and charcoal colors and heavy curtains symbolizes deception, seduction, and the ultimate veiling of humanity described in Revelation 17. So the shocking betrayal where you're saying you don't love me and all this, it all makes sense. Matthew 24:10, Jesus warns that in times many will turn away from faith and betray and hate each other. So because you represent the covenant in my life, all of a sudden the dream symbolizes a broader warning about breaking sacred covenants, societal trust, and institutional foundations on a global scale.
Very interesting.
Pretty heavy. Okay, the pregnant Polynesian woman in the lime green dress. This is the central birth pain anchor in end times. It compares to the scripture in 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Her being Polynesian, in the verse, ends to the earth or remote islands. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So her lime green dress, this represents new life, resurrection, organic growth of God's kingdom. And standing in the dark contrast against the dark, deceptive world system around her, it signifies the delivery of God's final plans is imminent and completely separate from a familiar world of systems and human partnerships.
Plus, we're empty nesters. I don't want any more kids.
So the woman standing in the door looking at me with the door open, this is a threshold or a door. In Matthew 24:3, he is near right at the door. She's standing at the gate of a new era, signaling that a delivery, pregnant, of this global shift is imminent.
What's interesting is she's talking about Revelation, and in Revelation 3:8 talks about a door. I believe the verse, it says, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." So it's really interesting how God will put these dreams in our heads and they mean something.
So y'all, this dream kind of comes down to global deception. It's going to be severe. It's not going to be pretty. My covenant with God and my marriage is stronger than ever. God has given me the discernment to see through the darkness, eye contact to knowledge my assignment, right? A wide open door to walk my faith in completely unshaken way. And this explains the odd peace I had after this dream and after deciphering it. Yeah. So we did have other wake ups, and the overall theme was really about prayers for ourselves, for our family, for our friends, for healing.
Also to grow closer to God, trusting in God in difficult situations, and strengthening our faith as we walk with Christ. So we're going to continue with more dreams in our next video. So please continue to follow our channel, subscribe, share, and let us know how we're doing. Leave a comment. Thanks and God bless.